physically went to Afghanistan. I was up in that pass where Osama bin Laden was allegedly escaped or out of harm's way. We went for two reasons. One, to
Notice how heroes just emerge? They're not so much born as they just appear out of nowhere. And that happened a few years ago in this country. Now, that hero went by many names. We called him the creepy porn lawyer because he was. But over at CNN, they called him something different. They called him a future president.
Value most. If they decide they value a fighter most,
yes,
people would be foolish to underestimate Michael Avenatti.
An existential threat to the Trump presidency. Please welcome attorney Michael Avenatti.
No one has talked tougher directly to Donald Trump on TV than Michael Avenatti, and Donald Trump is afraid to mention his name.
Michael Avenatti is a beast.
Okay, that's true.
And
he's a beast.
He's a beast, and he keeps popping Donald Trump and all of his folks in the mouth repeatedly. He's a beast. And so John Meacham says he may be the savior of the republic.
I owe Michael Avenatti an apology. For the last couple of weeks, I've been saying, enough already, Michael. I've seen you everywhere. What do you have left to say? I was wrong, brother.
Those were not cable news clips. That was an IQ test, and everybody on that tape failed miserably. Do not issue them driver's licenses. They're not capable. They fell for it hard. In a single week in March of 2018, if you can remember that far back, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, and NBC News interviewed the creepy porn lawyer a total of, not making this up, because we counted, 147 times. So we got to get in on that. We got to interview the creepy porn lawyer. We had only one opportunity to talk to him in studio. Here's part of it. You've profited from Stormy Daniels. You've done tens of millions of dollars worth of free media on the basis of your relationship with her, and she's working in strip clubs. You're exploiting her, and you know that. Why aren't you paying her some of what you're making?
Sir, this is absurd.
But answer my question. Why are you rich and your client is working in seedy strip clubs?
Sir, do you have any idea how much money I've earned?
You're on every cable show. You're running for president now.
You have no idea.
Well, I know that you haven't paid your taxes, and like so many lawyers, you were taking advantage of her. And you pose as a feminist hero because you are shameless, and the other channels let you get away with it. But you're an exploiter of a woman, and you should be ashamed of it. So it wasn't the warmest interview ever, and actually got even more unpleasant off air. But we wanted to give you the coda to the story. How did it wind up? Where is he now? Well, today, the creepy porn lawyer met the fate so many of us knew was coming to him. He was sentenced to 30 months in prison, in this case for trying to extort the shoe company Nike. By the way, he's still facing several separate trials, including one concerning allegations that he defrauded Stormy Daniels, which he apparently did. So the question for us, is basically a political show, is what does this mean for creepy porn lawyers' presidential ambitions? Is he still what America needs? Francie Hakes is a former federal prosecutor. She joins us tonight. Francie, thanks so much for coming on. And I should say, with some sincerity, I never gloat over a man going to prison because it's sad. It's like someone's death. It is sad. I mean that. However, if there was ever a guy who had a rendezvous with a cell, inevitably it was this guy. Was that obvious to you as a former prosecutor?
Yeah, Tucker, he certainly had that defense attorney bluster, that incredible arrogance that used to drive me so crazy across the courtroom when they were performing really for an audience of one, their own client, and never for the jury and never for the judge. He was really just like a normal criminal defense attorney to me. But today in court, he certainly didn't have that arrogance, as he was apparently sobbing with regret. And I just have to say, that's one of the things that used to drive me the most crazy as a prosecutor, was watching the defendant next to me cry and sob, because where was that emotion? Where was that regret when they were victimizing their victims? And here he had an extortion scheme. It's not like I feel sorry for the shoe company, but the point is that he's got an extortion scheme to extort a shoe company. He's paying the price. Now he's going to prison for less than the federal sentencing guidelines recommended, by the way, which was 9 years. But still, I'm not at all surprised that he had such a rise and such a meteoric fall.
Also, what about the dignity question? I mean, there are all kinds of figures throughout history who mount the gallows to their death without crying. Aren't you supposed to kind of man up and keep your little tears inside? I mean, I'm sincere. Like, whatever happened to that standard?
Well,
Don't
where
cry
was
in
the
public.
beast? They were
Yeah,
all
well.
talking about how he was such a beast and how President Trump was afraid of him. And he goes into court and just like almost every other criminal cries when he has to face the music for what he's done.
Yeah. There is a connection between narcissism and self-pity. Have you noticed that?
Definitely.
Francie Higgs, not just a former prosecutor, but a student of human behavior. Thank you. Great to see you.
Thanks, Tucker.